Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel did everything society tells us is right. He followed the rules we all hear like their scripture: save early, spend less than you earn. Compound interest will do the rest. For 45 years, Daniel worked as an engineer. He drove used cars long after he could afford shiny new ones. He lived in the same modest home for decades, never upgrading. He packed his lunch every day. He skipped vacations. When his friends were traveling the world in their 20s, Daniel stayed home and invested the money he would have spent. When his family wanted a kitchen remodel in their 40s, Daniel said, "Let's wait a few more years. We need to be responsible." Every single raise went straight into his retirement accounts. Every bonus he ever got vanished into the future. Finally, at 65, Daniel retired with a cool $2.5 million. From the outside, it looked like the perfect success story. The American dream realized. But 2 years into his retirement, Daniel suffered a massive stroke. He never got to take those trips he planned. He never used the money the way he'd always imagined. His final years were spent in and out of hospitals, rehab centers, and eventually assisted care. When he passed away at the age of 70, his investment accounts had grown even more, to nearly $2.8 million. Society looked at Daniel's life and said, "Wow, he died a millionaire." But that's not success. That is a catastrophic failure of resource management. You see, Daniel didn't run out of money. He ran out of time. This story highlights a huge mistake that almost everyone makes. We treat money like it's the goal. We celebrate net worth numbers on a screen. We chase higher balances, constantly pushing life further and further down the road until we cross some imaginary finish line. But money isn't the prize. Money is just stored life energy. Think about it. You trade your hours, your youth, your attention, your health, your stress for dollars. When you save all those dollars and never actually spend them on living, you didn't win. You essentially worked for free. If you spend 2,000 hours of your life to earn $100,000, and you die with that $100,000 sitting untouched in an account, those 2,000 hours are gone forever. You donated a huge chunk of your one and only life to a spreadsheet. Here is another lie that traditional financial advice is built on, that a dollar has the same value no matter when you spend it. Biology completely disagrees. Imagine you give $10,000 to 3 different people: a 25-year-old, a 45-year-old, and an 85-year-old. You tell them all to spend it on the exact same experience. The money is identical. But is the value they get from it the same? Absolutely not. At 25, you have boundless energy, flexibility, and curiosity. That $10,000 can fund a life-changing backpacking trip, a risky startup idea, or a move to a new city. At 45, you probably have more money, but you also have less free time and way more responsibilities, a mortgage, kids, a demanding career. That $10,000 might buy a nice but short family vacation. At 85, you might have all the money and time in the world, but your health is likely limited. Your ability to convert money into joy and meaningful experiences declines with age. Aggressively saving for the years when your body can't even use the money isn't discipline. It's just inefficient planning. You really only have 3 core assets in life: time, health, and money. The cruel joke is, you almost never have all 3 at the same time. When you're young, you have time and health, but no money. In middle age, you have money and health, but no time. And in old age, you have money and time, but often no health. The key is to use your money to maximize your life within each of these phases. So if saving too much is so inefficient, why do so many smart people do it? It really boils down to 2 powerful emotions: fear and legacy. First, there's the fear of running out. People have nightmares of living to be 95 and being broke by the time they reach 80, but hoarding massive amounts of cash is a terrible way to hedge against living a long life. That's what insurance is for. Annuities exist for this exact reason. Long-term care planning exists. Locking up hundreds of thousands of dollars, just in case, means sacrificing decades of meaningful life today to protect against a purely hypothetical worst-case scenario in the future. That's not wisdom. That's just fear dressed up as a responsible choice. The second reason is legacy, the desire to leave money for your children. But let's look at the reality of that. Most people receive their inheritance when they're around 60 years old. At that point in their lives, their careers are almost over. Their mortgages are mostly paid off. Their life paths are pretty much set in stone. Receiving a lump sum of money at age 60 changes very little. But think about what that same money could do for them at age 30. It could be a down payment on a house. It could allow them to start a business. It could give them the freedom to take a lower-paying job they're passionate about. Money at 30 compounds into a better life. A warm hand giving help when it's needed most beats a cold inheritance every single time. We have this bad habit of treating experiences like we just expenses a temporary pleasure that's gone once the money is spent. That's a huge mistake. Experiences pay dividends, just like investments do. They're called memory dividends. A trip you take at 25 pays you emotional returns in the form of stories, memories, and personal growth for the next 60 years. A trip you take at 65 might pay you for 15 years if you're lucky. Stories compound, memories compound. Your very identity compounds. From a purely mathematical perspective, delaying experiences actually destroys their return on investment. This is why bucket lists so often fail. People wait until the end to cram everything in. A better approach is to think in time buckets. What experiences are best suited for ages 25 to 35? What about 35 to 45? Or 45 to 55? Some experiences only fit in certain windows of your life. If you miss that window, no amount of money can ever bring it back. Here's the strange truth. Most of us are taught how to accumulate wealth. We know how to save. But almost no one knows how to spend it. They don't teach you how to deaccumulate in school. There is a point in your life where your net worth should stop growing and start declining. If your assets keep rising while your remaining years on Earth are shrinking, you are oversaving. And that means you are still working for free, trading your limited time for numbers on a screen you'll never use. You need to figure out your survival number. What do you need for basic living costs? What's a reasonable buffer for healthcare and emergencies? Everything you have above that number is not security. It's unused life energy. It's wasted potential. The real tragedy of Daniel's story isn't that he died. We all die. The tragedy is that he postponed living for a future that never arrived. He optimized his life for financial safety but completely forgot about personal utility. He protected his money better than he protected his time. The goal isn't to die broke tomorrow. The goal is to not die rich with regrets. The point of money is not to have the highest score at the end of the game. Money is the fuel that lets you actually play the game while you still can. So save intelligently, yes, but also spend intentionally. Give your money away to loved ones early when it can make a real difference. Create memories when they pay the highest dividends. The real tragedy isn't spending too much money. The tragedy is spending your entire life earning money you never get to use. That's not wealth, that's just waste. Thanks for watching. If this perspective resonated with you, consider subscribing for more videos on how to live a richer life. Not just a life with more riches. See you next time.